I think Simon Kjaer was a big miss in the end because we had Gabia starting, and he looked like he was a bit out of the mix, which makes sense considering he has been out of the mix since like December. I think he's been out injured, and I don't think he did very well, to be honest. He looked kind of nervous, and he looked kind of kind of shaky, and I don't think it really quite worked. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but we're missing so many players. And I think as well, perhaps we weren't fielding our strongest starting lineup. I think the team that started against Manchester United was overall a better team.
I think we were talking. I think I asked about the Man U game. I was so confused. You were like terrible performance. We were missing Pierre.
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 of the Short Corner podcast, where we're going to be doing a review of a quite positive result midweek against Man U in the Europa League, and then a review of a slightly less positive result at the weekend as we lost 1-0 to Napoli at home. No guest this week, and also no Naeem, who's off grocery shopping, but I'm joined by the usual other co-hosts, Joe, Rid, and Samir. So how are you all?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, I'm back.
And so
He's back.
Just a bit, on that blooper at the beginning, Joe thought that I asked him about the Napoli game, but I asked him about the Man U game.
Yeah, I've had a long day.
He was praising Teo Hernandez's performance, even though he didn't play. So, Joe.
Good performance at home, I'd say, probably in itself.
Yeah. So, Joe, what were your thoughts on the Man United game?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game, honestly. I didn't catch the first, I think it was the first hour of the game. I didn't see live, but I watched the final 30 minutes of it on the bus home, and I really had to restrain myself from screaming when Kjaer scored that winning goal. I would have startled some old ladies, and it would have been nice. But yeah, it was a good game, honestly. I watched it back. I think we did ourselves. I think we were a lot better against Manchester United than we were against Napoli, and I think purely got subs right, and I think we were unlucky to not get the win. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
I think I'll agree with Joe. I think, to be fair, in some ways we were kind of lucky. We were lucky not to lose, but also unlucky not to win, because obviously Man U had two big chances with Maguire and James, who both pretty much missed open goal. We really should have gone in. But at times of the game, we were, I wouldn't say dominating, but we were playing much better than them. And I think we had a few chances that we probably should have done better with, but we weren't able to. And, the draw is, the minimum of the game. I think if we didn't get a draw at least, I would have been very disappointed. Even though I went into the game with no expectations, honestly, I was expecting us to lose. I think a lot of people were expecting us to lose 2-0, 3-0, stuff like that. So I was, really happy with how we played. Kind of realized the day after the Kia's goal was just the equalizer and didn't actually mean that much, but it was a great moment. But yeah, so I think it's a good result to take, especially away, given that we were missing so many starters and our bench was Casilejo, our subs. Samir?
I was happy with the results. 1-1. I expected us to lose, at least by 2 goals. We really did perform very well. United had a full team except 2 or 3 players missing. I feel like if we had just Ibra instead of Leao, we could have won the game. Maybe 2-1. But we were much better throughout the whole game. Even, to be honest, even United missed 2 good chances. But I was really impressed with everyone, honestly. Everyone had a good game, except, Leao and Castillejo when he came on. Everyone had a good game. And actually, I'm kind of surprised with the result. I did not expect us to, get any good result. I thought we were going to get at least 2-0, 3-1 loss. Gives me hope, for the next leg. But the next leg is at home, and our home form is, really bad. So, also, I wish for next leg we use the same players we had in the first leg, because they have that chemistry going on. only change I would do is, maybe Ibra starts instead of Leao, and I want everyone to start, the way it started. I don't want, Hakan or I want the same team we played in the first leg. And maybe, we can win, hopefully with Ibra.
To be fair, I kind of disagree with Samir's point. I think Rebic has to play because he's been sent off in the Napoli game. We'll probably get into that more later. So I think he needs to start. He just needs to start. And I think maybe I just have trust issues now because of Benacer. I think I wouldn't rush Zlatan or anyone back in the starting 11 again, just in case we lose them again. Like with Benacer, every time he plays, he gets injured again. So, and I think we have to go into that second leg not happy with that draw, because if we're happy with the draw, we're probably gonna just sit back, let them pressure us, and they only need one goal. All you need is one good chance from them, and they're through. So I don't really want to see us, give the ball to them and just defend for 90 minutes because they have good attackers. They're gonna have Rashford back, I believe, the second leg. They have Bruno Fernandes, who even though wasn't his best game against us, he just can make something out of nothing. So I just don't want us to sit back and be happy with the draw, because that just says, we were happy with the draw and then just goes through with the draw. Because if you think about it, if it's like a 0-0, then the last 4 games in the Europa League would have been just draws. Like we're just going through because of draws. And I definitely think Man U is going to score against us at home. I don't think we'll be able to keep a clean sheet. So I would want us to be more aggressive and not sit back, ideally. It's in the second leg.
I mean, I think if you look at our results this season, I don't think a single one has been 0-0 as far as I can remember. So it's highly unlikely that away goal is going to be what takes us through. I think that's very unlikely. So somebody's going to score in this game. So I think we're going to need to score, and hopefully we score first, because that would be a lot of pressure on United. And also, I would be very disappointed if we went out now after the way we played in the first leg. But we'd always seem to perform better away from home than at home. It's always really weird for some reason. Maybe they've got the heating turned up at San Siro or something that distracts the players. But I don't know what's going on.
I know what's going on. The damn Fortnite cutouts.
Yeah, Leo just imitating the Fortnite cutouts and dancing. Matt, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think it was a really good performance. I think we mentioned about, I think it was like maybe after the Red Star game when the draw was made for the Man U game, like me as a Milan fan only since 2016, I've never seen like a big European performance. And although we didn't win, that late goal that we got, which felt like a win and which puts us in a strong position going into the second leg. And I think it was a point, I said almost a point, and then it wasn't a point, but because it was it's a knockout tie. But that goal that we got that got us that draw, it was deserved. And we're talking about, we were unlucky with the Kessie handball because it was very soft, very anti-football basically. Then you've got Dan James and Maguire missing like glaring open goal chances, so we were lucky in that respect. But I don't think we deserve to lose. I think a draw was fair, and I think it puts us in a strong position. But we can't, like we said there, we can't just say we'll play for a 0-0, because Man U away from home are good, and us at home aren't. Like, we're a bit what's the word? We're not stable. We're not going to keep. I don't think it's going to be a 0-0 at home, and and it's like if we sit there and we go, okay, come on to us, come on, Bruno, Dan James, Greenwood, Rashford, and just Cavani and all those players just come on and try and score past us, they will score if we play like that. So I think at home we need to be the big team. We need to have a big team mentality and take the game to Man United and get our goals first, so we're not chasing the game against the United side who, although people meme them for not going past semi-finals, they are experienced in Europe and in knockout competitions, whereas we're not. But good performance in the first leg. I think Kessie was sensational, a bit too good, up to the point where it's kind of like, I wish he didn't play that good, because now I'm hearing like Real Madrid are interested and stuff like that. But really good performance. First big European performance I've seen as a Milan fan, and good position for the second leg.
Lovely. Should we talk about the second game? Not as good, the Napoli game. So the Napoli game was last night. We lost 1-0 due to a goal from Politano. It never felt like we got going. It never felt like we were in control of the game at any point. That we were creating chances, but it wasn't anything special. It wasn't, what we would expect from Milan usually. And quite frankly, it was there isn't anyone who really stood out. I think the only one who could probably save himself is Tonali, who again is playing pretty well, and people still criticize him, even though he's arguably the best player on the pitch for us yesterday. But besides that, really disappointing performance. What's everyone's thoughts on that? And obviously, Rebic got sent off towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I think it was everything that we were in that Man U game, we weren't in this game. In the Man United game, we looked hungry, we looked quick, we looked aggressive, we looked like we wanted it. And this game, we've spoken about it before, like the Spezia game, when we spoke about the Spezia game, about how in the Spezia game, we just kind of like waltzed through the game. We sort of like, we went a goal down and we didn't react. We didn't start off quickly. And I think that was the same with the Napoli one. We just did not get going. We were properly just passengers throughout the game. It was like it was only Napoli playing, and it seemed like quite a lazy performance for their goal. So it's like Teo Hernandez. Obviously, I love him. He's been our best player probably for the past couple years. But I wish he'd showed the same energy and determination defending than he would attacking, because that run from Politano, if he even put half the effort in that he does attacking into that defensive thing, he tracks that run and he's not through. And yeah, it just seemed like maybe we were on too much of a high of the United result, that late goal at Old Trafford, massive confidence booster, but maybe it kind of interfered with us to the point where we were like, oh yeah, this Napoli game doesn't matter. And yeah, it was just disappointing. And the Rebic sending off, I think you could kind of go, oh yeah, have that Napoli or have that ref, or like, oh, that's really funny from Rebic, but it's childish. It's something that you say when you're winning, or you say it's the old saying, perform with your feet, not with your mouth, because that's what matters, because all that you've got now is one game, maybe 3 game. I'm not sure in the Italian league if foul and abusive language to a referee 3 games or 1 game, but either way, all you've come out with the game is 0 points and a red card. So yeah, I think it's, although funny, it's poor from Rebic and poor from everyone all around, to be honest.
Yeah, I was quite disappointed by Rebic. I think once he came in, he was probably our biggest threat. I think he was putting some good crosses, and I think he had 1 decent chance. I was really disappointed when that happened, because you're 1-0 down. There's still, a couple of minutes of the game. Why would you do that? And that's my, question to him. Like, what's the point of? Okay, yeah, you're pissed because you're losing 1-0, nothing's going your way. But doing that is, as Mark said, is really childish, and wouldn't expect that. I think we missed Kier, we missed Ibra, and that point we're missing Kessie as well. And like during the whole game, I think it felt like we were missing the character we showed against Man U. I think defensively, for example, I think our shape looked really bad. You can tell Kier was missing, or Romagnoli was missing, those that, especially Kier, he has a big voice, personality, he commands the defense. And with Tomori and Gabi, obviously Tomori has just moved in, I don't expect him to, be a Kier and just, command everyone what to do. But at the same time, even with Gabi, he just came in after 4 months. So, when I saw the lineup, I was like, okay, that looks a bit unstable at the back. And you can see, I think you can hear throughout the game Gigi always screaming at probably his defense, because we were looking really poor. And that all came out when Politano scored, when Teo wasn't marking. There was just a huge gap. So I think defensively we were quite poor. So yeah, I think purely, especially when Teo goes forward, there has to be some sort of mechanism we have with defending, because having that big gap that we had when we considered the goal just not good enough, and it literally cost us the game. So
yeah, I think Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's really clear that Gabbia and Tomori never played with each other before, because look at the way that Tomori sort of plays. He's really aggressive, he's really quick, and his positioning isn't always that great, and they'll always leave gaps. But when he plays with like Romagnoli or Kjaer, I think they kind of know they know what he's going to do, so they cover the space. And there was quite a few occasions where like I'd play a cross in or something, and then Tomori would come out to get it, but Gabbia wouldn't read the situation, so like the ball would just end up going to the Napoli player, which is obviously not good enough. And that's probably the tone of the performance. And I think honestly the lineup that Pioli put out, I don't think was ever going to get a result, particularly going forward. Because if you look at the attacking midfield trio, he had Krunic on the left, which I don't know why you would do that. It
just doesn't work.
Madness. He's either it's just you playing the wing. You need to at least be somewhat pacey, and Krunic isn't that at all. And then you've got Çalhanoğlu and Castelletto. So we're not even going to talk about Castelletto. We all know he's just not going to offer absolutely anything whatsoever. And then Çalhanoğlu, if he has a bad game, that means he's out of position. There's one guy who's having a shit game, and there's another guy who is just shit. Far too long to even change it as well. Like I think it was like 65th minute or something until he brought on any change. He brought on like Rebic or something, but it was a little too late by that point. Hakan was disaster as well. So.
Yeah, I think one thing everyone's always.
I think it'll be better.
Yeah, I think one thing everyone has been critical.
Sorry. So you take it ahead, Richard.
Okay. No, because you can't. And I was like, "Are you still talking?" No, I was going to say. I think one thing everyone has been critical. I think everyone has come on as a guest, especially like Justin. He was saying how like Pioli's in-game management has been always a bit poor. Like, whenever I'm watching the game, I can see people, whenever we're losing, always saying, where are the subs? Obviously, he did 3 changes eventually, which didn't work out. But I think one, I don't understand why, I don't know, Pioli seems really hard-headed. Like, obviously, Castelletto isn't working on the right. Why are you playing him? I mean, it's been 20 games. He hasn't offered anything. Try something else. Obviously, it's not going to work. Like, if you keep hanging your head on the wall, like the wall's not going to move, it's just going to stay there. And with Krunic, he clearly plays his best football as a cam. Why are you putting him on the left wing? We have other left wingers. We have Hauge who can play there. We have Brahim who can play there. We even have Salamakers who has played there, or Castillejo. Like, why are you putting someone who clearly isn't good as a cam? As a left wing when you have left wing options on the bench. I mean, I guess Krunic offers something defensively, but that's a very conservative move to do, because going forward, as Joe said, we had someone who's shit, someone who was having a shit game, and someone who, do you know what I mean? Like, we had no real attacking outlet. Like, if Hakan doesn't do anything in those 4, no one does anything, which is what happened. And I wanted to ask, what's everyone's phone Leao now? Yeah, I think he's gone I think his last game was that goal against Benevento, I believe. It's been a couple of months.
I think last goal was January 6th or something.
Yeah, it's been ages, and he hasn't been playing well, I would say. So obviously he's playing out of position, but what's everyone's thoughts?
What's Leao's position, really? I mean, I think it's yet to kind of be fully defined, because every time he plays as a left winger and plays badly, we all say, oh, he's a striker, he should play as a striker. Then he'll play good as a striker for a bit, then he'll play one bad game as a striker. Then, another side of the fan base will be like, oh, he's a left winger, he's out of position. So which is it? Is he a left winger or is he a striker? Personally, I just think he's really inconsistent where he plays. And, the talent's clearly there. So I think in time he'll turn out to be a good player. But for now, we really need players to step up, particularly at this point in the season where there's so many games. But yeah, I think an important thing though is that there's an international break coming up, and that's could be a well-needed rest, I think. because we always seem to play really well straight after an international break, I find. So I'm looking forward to that. No stress, no Milan.
I think he's none. I think he fits, like a two striker formation. He's like more of a center forward, He doesn't really bring anything as a left wing or a striker. I think he would he's like used to play as a center forward or second striker in Lille, when he was there in France. I think the best option with him is playing with two formation. So unless we do that, I don't really see him, like providing us with goals or assists. Also, I can't really blame Pioli because we have no one to play right. He's the only one who can play there. We have literally no one. Only one we had was Colombo, and he's in C or D or E. So I can't really blame Pioli. But then we can clearly see he does not fit striker. His striker has to, ask for the ball, ask for the ball, go back, get the ball, He does none of that. He just stands there, waits for the ball. And every time a cross comes, he just fails it, skies it every time. So I think for now, his position is, better as a left wing. But I think his ultimate position would be the best as, like a second striker in two-man formation. Like, that'd be good for him.
Yeah, I'd echo what Samir says about that. I think we spoke about it before. I can't remember what it was about, but there's some young players like Donnarumma and Mbappe and Haaland who are just like monsters who at a young age can deal with being like the one that hopes are relied on. But I think someone like Leao at such a young age and like he's not in his home country. He's like, I know he's been here for a while now, but he's still young and adapting, and he's probably not found him, like he's probably doesn't know who he is as a player completely yet. He's not defined in one role. I think he does need someone up there alongside him, and I think I think his best performances have probably come from the left wing, playing with Ibra up front. You think about the Derby 2-1 win, sorry. That was like really good because he was driving down that wing and he had someone in there who was going to finish the chances, someone more experienced in Zlatan. And I think obviously it's not his fault, Pioli, and it's not Milan's fault, it's not Leao's fault or Ibra's fault, but at the moment Leao is having to play up front by himself because he is our best striker. But I think long term, when Ibra's back and maybe when we sign a bigger name striker to replace Ibra long term, I think Leao does need to play out left, because sticking him up top by himself, and you think of like Krunic is a cam and he's playing left wing. Hakan, since the whole contract debate and since his injuries, hasn't been the same player as last year, and Castillejo just isn't good enough, and he's not a darting winger, is he? He's more of a defensive sort of option. He's literally up there alone with a defensive winger on the left and on the right, and an underperforming attacking midfielder. He's got nothing up front, so it's a poor performance from him, and the lack of goals is worrying. But I think when you give it the context of all the pressure being piled on him all at once at such a young age, and the lack of support he's getting from the players surrounding him, I think we can sort of empathise with him in this situation.
Yeah, I think when Ibra is playing, the whole attack plays better. As you said, in the derby, he was playing much better. Ibra was there. I think, the difference between Leao and Rebic, I think they're both wingers, but I think when they're playing up front, because obviously Rebic has played a couple of games up front in the first half of the season. I think even though Rebic does not play well up front, he still somehow manages to create something. I think when he was playing up front, he had a couple of assists and I think one goal, whereas Leao hasn't had any of that. I think Rebic is much more clinical than Leao is. So I was thinking about the chance he had yesterday from across from Rebic in front of the goal, and then he just wasn't able to put it in the back of the net. And I feel like if that was Rebic, that might have gone differently, because I think he's much sharper in front of goal. But obviously, when you're playing left wing, you're not. So I'm saying if Rebic plays up top, maybe he would be able to score more. But in terms of everything else, I think Leao probably offers more than Rebic up front, like in terms of hold-up play, link-up play. And I think Rebic, isn't good at like getting the ball with back to goal, whereas Leao is somewhat better at that. So the ideal player right now would be, I think, a mixture of Leao and Rebic up top, since we don't have Zlatan or Mandzukic. But yeah, it just obviously I think I'm just gonna agree with Matt said. I think once we start having better players around him who can supply him, and just having a team playing better, he would automatically perform better because he has the talent, and we can't expect him to carry the win us the game by himself. He's not Mbappe, he's not Haaland. Although we would love him to be, but he's not the type of player who he can make things happen, but he's not gonna take the ball every game, dribble five players and just score a screamer like Mbappe or Haaland might do.
I think with Rebic and Leao, there's a big difference really in the way that even when Rebic isn't having his best game, he's always getting involved in the game and he's always making stuff happen, which you can't always say the same about Leao. But Leao's day is sensational. We've all seen him do some incredible things at the club. But yeah, they're both inconsistent, and annoyingly, they're always both inconsistent in different ways. It's not really very helpful, especially when you're missing Ibrahimovic, and I think probably Mandzukic as well. But like, we haven't really seen anything from him, so we can't really say that he's a big miss. Yeah, this is a difficult situation. Pioli is obviously not to blame, because he's got nothing else he can really do unless he's going to start this guy like Tonin from the Primavera, or what's his name, the Swedish guy,
Roback.
Yeah, Roback. Which I don't think he's going to do, because I don't think we've seen any Primavera players actually really come in since Pioli's taken charge. Weirdly, I don't think we've seen a single new one. Maybe Gabbia, perhaps. That's maybe about it off the top of my head. But yeah, I think also we were really missing Calabria last night. His intensity, I think, is quite big in the way we play. And Dalot is just, Dalot just wasn't good enough, really. Especially at right back. He's much better on the left, as we said on the podcast before. So yeah.
I think people are quick to point fingers at whose fault it is. I mean, at first, between September and December, people were like, oh, we didn't get Zlatan back up, so it's the management's fault. And now obviously we got Mandzukic, who I think he is a good enough backup with Zlatan, but obviously he's been injured ever since, so Leao has had to take over again. And I think there isn't anyone to blame. I think we're just really unlucky with the injuries, and everything like that. So yeah, I think it isn't, as Matt said, it isn't Leao's fault, it isn't anyone's fault. We're just unlucky, I would say, and obviously that's showing in the last game.
It's like no one's fault. We're really stuck in a bad situation. We can't blame Pioli for the starters or the subs. There is no subs. Like the last match, the Napoli match, the sub we made. The 3 subs: Salamakers, Brahim, and Rebic. That's the only sub we have, right? So really can't blame him. And everyone is injured. So it's like he's doing the best he can with the squad he has. Like Leo is not a striker. He's playing there. Krunic is not a left wing. He's playing there. And Samu is not a player. He's playing there, Like there is no options, right? So like we can't really blame. And Dalot is not he is apparently a right back, but he can't play there. He forgets how to play football every time he plays at the right back. So we really can't blame, the coach. Our situation is really bad. Our luck is honestly bad. I think with the players we have, we're doing all right. We're not doing bad, We're doing pretty fine, if you ask me, right? We have literally no one, for the front three, So yeah, I think Pioli is doing all right. But I will still say with the players we have, the injuries and everything, we're doing really good. I'm honestly kind of happy, where we are with everything that's happening with our squad.
Players get injured quite a lot, and that's not entirely normal. It's entirely normal, for a football club for this many injuries. But I think we are just unlucky. As you said, I don't think there's anything seriously wrong with the fitness or medical team, unless Pioli is telling players to hit themselves in the knee with spanners before games or whatever. But I doubt that's the case.
Cool. So now we have a question from Farinho again. Shout out to Farinho. Always dropping off really good questions. So the question is, can Milan regain consistency into the final round of the season? So what's everyone's thoughts? I think we can, but we need to show bit of character now, because obviously, you really see the mentality of a good player and a good team once they've lost. A couple of goals. Obviously, we've lost a couple of games, and we need to show the mentality that yes, we've lost a few games, but we're still here. I think there's a 9-point difference between Inter and us right now, which is fine because that wasn't our goal at the beginning. But there's a 6 points difference between us and the 5th place, and our goal is 4th place at least. So top 4. So we need to show we can if we show some character. Obviously, we've showed that we can deal with injuries in the first half of the season. We show even though we are missing half of the team, we can still produce really good performance against Man United, against good teams. So we can definitely regain the form, just whether we have the confidence and willpower to do it.
Yeah, I think these last 2 games have just shown, I think it's the epitome of an inconsistency. So I remember when Wally came on and we just lost to Spezia, and Wally was coming on with all of his positive energy as he always does, and he was like, "No, we can. This is our title. We can still do it." And I was like trying to buy into it. I was trying to believe in Wally's confidence, but I just couldn't, because I was just thinking this is our top 4 year. This is Inter's sort of this is Inter's year to win it. And I think this sort of Man U and Napoli period, I think he's just summed it up perfectly. The injury. So Pioli said that it's the first time he's kind of not made an excuse, but he's kind of defended himself, because there's been some sort of critics about are Milan doing good enough even despite injuries, and he was saying that imagine Juve without Ronaldo for half the season, or Chiesa or Morata for half the season, or imagine if Inter didn't have Lukaku or Lautaro for half their games. That's what it's been like with Ibra, as well as having Rebic and Çalhanoğlu out for large periods of the season as well. So I think the inconsistencies, it's a bit of a culture thing as well, because I think teams like Juve, maybe not this season, but historically when they've gone on to win titles, and even Inter, they've sort of put these bad results behind them. So I remember Inter dropped points to Roma quite late on at the Olimpico, and then next thing you know, they beat Juve, and from there it's just all up again. And I think at the moment we're just in this state of flux where it's are we top 4? Are we Scudetto? Are we focusing on the Europa League? And I think at the moment that's playing into our inconsistencies just as much as the injuries are. And yeah, it's quite frustrating and annoying. And the injuries are I don't think it's an excuse to blame the injuries. I think it's fair, because as Pioli said, it's I took 3 of our best players out for all season. And but I think the inconsistencies also come down to just a mentality sort of thing. I think throughout this whole season, ever since what was the first game we lost, Juve, Atalanta, since those games, it's just been the hope's gone sort of thing. And I think next season maybe, or the season after, once we've got this experience of this season, it'll be a bit more okay, Juve beat us, so what, we'll bounce back. But at the moment I think we're still somehow still sort of just trotting along where we should be sort of bouncing back. And to answer Farino's question in a massive roundabout way, is just I think we can do it, and I think we will do it. I think we've just got about enough in us. But I think these inconsistencies in the past week have shown why we're top 4 and not Scudetto yet.
Yeah, I think the important games for top 4 were going to be these games against Napoli, Roma, and Lazio. And so far, we actually have a better head-to-head record against all 3 of those teams. I mean, this is an exception of Napoli, but I think does it go to goal difference between head-to-head? So that means we're ahead of them.
Head-to-head, I believe. Not sure.
Yeah, we'll say we are. But we've got a pretty good record. Head-to-head against those teams, and they're just as inconsistent as we are, and I think they're more inconsistent, to be honest. Title push together until just recently we're just falling apart. But I mean, with the way this squad was built, I've said this before in the pod, but Maldini actually said in their quote that the way he approached this transfer market was so that if we didn't get Champions League, it wouldn't be a complete financial disaster. And there we were competing for the title. So, it's not really a surprise that we've fallen off, but it's still really disappointing. In terms of getting our consistency back, I think that'll come once after the international break. I think the important thing now is going through against Manchester United, because honestly, and if you look at the Europa League, we're actually in a pretty good position if we beat Manchester United. Yeah, that's going to be a real statement when the other teams in that competition, they're not going to want to draw Milan. So who knows? We could maybe win that competition. I don't think we will, but we should at least be aiming for like the semi-finals kind of thing. I think if we get past Man United, if we could win it, that'd be great, because there's nothing. Because Italian football in Europe hasn't been the greatest, and if Milan were to win Europa League, it's not the champion, but it is still Milan are the best Italian team in Europe historically, and it would be great if that could continue.
Going off Matt's point, I just wanted to mention, every time, we drop a bad performance and we lose, you see people screaming for Pioli's head, like he's just, murdered the children or something. But I think it's easier for a manager to, manage a team if, let's say, they have two players that go out in September for the whole season, and then you can easily replace them like he did with Benacer. Benacer was, it's pretty much missed the whole season, and Tonali's taken over, which has been all right so far. But it's harder if every game you have a different player missing. So you have Rebic, but then Hakan is missing. The next game you have Hakan, but then Rebic and Libra are missing. It's much harder, to build consistency and build a proper system if every day in training you have a different player trying to do what the player the day before was trying to do. So I think people kind of forget how injuries, how bad they can be. If we have Calabria playing against Man U, and Kalulu played the final minutes, and Dalot played yesterday. So there's 3 players in between 2 games that have played as a right back, and it just been going on like that. It felt like there hasn't been too many players that have played more than 2 games in a row that have been injured, except Kessie, who just played every single game. But I think it just makes it harder for a team to flow if every week there's a different player playing in crucial positions such as Cam, for example. But yeah, and I think in terms, go on.
Sorry, no, you finish off.
I just wanted to say, I think in terms of the Europa League, I think a couple of weeks ago I was really excited because we were first. We were we can go for the Europa League, we can go for the Scudetto, we can go for everything. But obviously nowadays we have a 9-point difference. And our goal is still top 4. I think if we, if we go through with Man United and pick up some pace again and start winning league games again, I don't expect us to win the Scudetto and Frankie. I don't think we will anymore. But if we beat Man United, it is clear that we are able to beat big European teams. So I would like us to go for the Europa League. And as Joe said, it's unlikely they will win, but I wouldn't want us to not try at least, like I said a couple of times before. So I think we can win it. If we win Man United, then it's definitely shown that we can beat big European teams. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to beat Tottenham, like Ajax and the likes of those.
Yeah, I was just going to interject sort of thing with you talking about how in that Man U game alone, so many different players played, and in the last couple of games we've had almost a new defence pretty much. It's that whole the old saying, a title winning team, you can name their team, like the Leicester team, I can name that off by heart, and the Chelsea teams that won it recently, the Man City teams. But I think that's same with Inter, it's Handanovic, it's Hakimi, it's Lukaku and Lautaro up front. But I think that's that sort of a symbol as to why we're not top, and there's a multitude of reasons. But the fact that, can anyone name Milan's most played 11 this year? I can't. I know it's Donnarumma in goal and Kessie in midfield, but other than that, what else is it? There's loads of players who have been in and out and rested and benched and suspended and injured and stuff like that. And I think, that's just a sort of it's a symbol that we're just this season we've been unlucky, and that's why we're not winning the league, because we've not got this every week we shouldn't have to look at predicted lineups. We should know who's playing if we're like going for a serious title challenge. But the fact that we've been unlucky with injuries, some players have been underperforming, like Romagnoli at times. I think that's symbolic of where we're at this season and how it's not been I think it shows how well we did in the first half, that we're kind of like saying, oh, it's disappointing at this point. I don't think it's disappointing. I think we've just kind of hit a stumbling block, and as long as we get over it, which we should, we're fine. In terms of the Europa League, I think if we knock out the favourites in Man United, that's a massive confidence boost that won't only help us in the Europa League in terms of, as you mentioned, the fear factor, Joe, like the whole no one will want to play a team who knocks out the favourites, but also in the league, like beating Man U, the favourites, that's only going to do wonders for confidence in the league. So I think, just as we're going forward, if we do get past Man United, then I think the Europa League, there's no reason why we should fear anyone in it, and I think we should properly go for it. But then, as we said before, since we started the podcast, we were like, go all in the Europa League, go full strength every week in the Europa League, because we've got a massive gap in the Serie A, but now we've not. We do have to try and like tread carefully, because we can't go all out in the Europa League and risk the Serie A. And it's going to be a fine balance, but that's what Pioli's paid to do, isn't it? So Samir, have you got any thoughts about Firmino's question in top 4 in Europa League?
I knew we were never gonna win the Scudetto. Everyone, all of us, kind of knew in our heart. It was kind of impossible dream. And about the question, can we finish top 4? I think we can. I've been saying since this episode 1, we gotta beat the smaller team. I believe our next 5 matches against the mid-table teams. After Man United, we're gonna face Fiorentina, Sampdoria, Parma, Genoa, and Sassuolo. If you can beat them, okay, these 5 teams, I think we can easily stay in top 4. I don't see us leaving top 4. But these 5 matches we have to beat them. Last time we kind of floundered against Parma and Genoa. We drew 2-2. If we can win against these 5 teams, I'm pretty sure we can get top 4. Pretty easily. And about Europa League, if we win against Man United, it's gonna be a huge boost for us. For the entire season. I don't think we're gonna win the whole thing. We still have Arsenal left, Spurs left. But then I think I would rather actually win the Europa than finish top 4, because winning the Europa will get us pot 1 for UCL, and that'd be pretty good for us for next season. Because if you finish top 4 and no Europa, I think we're gonna have the harder tables. But if you win the Europa League, we can have pot 1, and that'd be pretty good for us, going first train, in UCL. But then, I still think, we'll really make, top 4. We still have lots of easy team. We only have, from the big teams, we only have Lazio, Juventus, and, Atalanta. The rest all are, the smaller mid-table teams. If we can win against them, top 4, it's, we can get there. But not sure about second. I think we'll end up finishing 3rd or maybe 4th. Juve has a game in hand and they're 1 point below us. But then, my thing is, if we finish 4, I'd rather finish actually 5th and win the Europa, because so we can get pot 1 and be next year we can have easier team in UCL. But to answer this question, I believe we can get top 4.
I'm gonna have to disagree with Samir. I think I'd rather finish top 4 and not win, simply due to the fact if we don't finish top 4, it shows that we don't have a good enough team for next season to finish top 4 again. Yes, it's a trophy, and of course, I would like us to bring the trophy home. But I think if it came down to it, I would rather finish top 4 and build upon the team, because we have something good. Whereas if we finished 5th, that doesn't look good, because our goal has always been top 4 for the past decade at this point. It just feels like, yes, we won a trophy, but that's not a step forward, because we finished 5th. So I would personally rather finish top 4, to be fair. I mean, ideally both, but if it came down to it, I might have to choose top 4.
I think I have to disagree to disagree, man. I would prefer, winning.
How dare you disagree? You can't do that.
My thing is, see, like if we finish top four and don't win the Europa, we're gonna have like hard teams next year. And I don't know if Inter, like last 3 years, get a UCL and get kicked out round of 16. I prefer, win the Europa, get the pot one, some shit farmers.
Like if you finish fifth and get into the UCL and then you probably get kicked out again because then you have a good enough team to make top four.
But like, see, like I get what you mean, right? Like, but then like I want a trophy this year, right, guys? Like all of us want a trophy. Like it's been like 5 years if you count, like Super Copa that we won 2016. That's really not a trophy, But then like I'd rather have a trophy and pot one than top four, and get harder teams and then get kicked out. But I get your point, though, Whitney. I get where it's coming from. It's gonna honestly shatter us, our entire team. If you finish fifth after being first since start of the season. But I would still prefer, Europa, a trophy and pot one.
What's Joe and Matt saying? Who are you siding with? This makes or breaks the podcast.
Do it. Come on, boys.
A cold war is about to begin.
Well, I mean, I think from the position that we're now in, I think we're now more likely to win the Europa League than we are to win the Serie A. When we were to win Scudetto, I think that dream, it's not totally over because Inter could still like do an absolute complete collapse, and that would be unlikely. It's very unlikely because the way they're playing, it's all going their way. It's just this is probably how Inter fans were feeling at the start of the season, where it was all going our way and we were getting all these penalties, and it's like those lucky bastards, and now it's the other way around. So I mean, I think we will finish third. I think that was my prediction at the start of the season. I'm sticking with that because I'd like to be vindicated. So I hope that's what comes to pass. As for the Europa League, I mean, to be honest, I want both. So I agree with either of you.
Agree with who? Matt?
I'm going to sit on the fence. Boring, Matt. But I think it's kind of... I get what Rid's saying in the idea of it being symbolic, because when you set out at the beginning of the season, you don't think, oh, okay, I wonder what's going to happen in the Coppa Italia or the Europa League. It's the league. The league's your bread and butter. That's the sort of thing where you don't, like you say, you judge a season on where you finish in the league. And for years, like since I started supporting, and even before when we've been out of the Europa League, out of the Champions League side for about the last 7 or 8 years, it's top four, the holy grail, the top four, which is the sort of you've been basing your whole season off. And I think to finish fifth and not get the Champions League through the league, it would be a bit worrying, because considering like we were top in the new year. So I think it'd be quite a disappointing fall off. But again, to sit on the fence, I don't care how we get it, literally. I'm not going to say, oh God, I'd hate to finish fifth and win the Europa League, or I'd hate to finish fourth and not win the Europa League. Like, just get me that Champions League music on. I don't care how we get there. It would be disappointing to finish fifth, but then if we win the Europa League, it's almost like, if we win the Europa League and finish fifth, it's almost like we've traded it in a way. It's not like we've finished fifth because we're not good enough. It's almost like, oh, we probably rested players and dropped games that surrounded the Europa League tie. So just literally, sit on the fence. I don't think there's any idealistic way to get to Champions League football, whether it be for the league or winning a trophy. Let's just get it done, and I think we will.
I think we'd see in the... Do you want to go? Okay, I think we'd see that in the next couple of weeks. Let's say we go through with Man United, but we lose against Fiorentina in the next game. That would make a big change, because that would mean we drop 6 points, which is the difference between us and fifth right now. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but if that does happen, because we're on a bad form, then there might be a point of focusing on the Europa League a bit more than the league. But ideally we do finish fourth. I think finishing fourth is more important than winning the Europa League. If both come, then I'm not going to complain. But if we are risking dropping off the top four, then winning the Europa League is a must. Like, I think my conclusion to this is similar to like doesn't matter how we get it as long as we get it. But I would prefer top 4. But yeah.
If we beat Man United and then go through to the next round and it's like Slavia Prague and we get knocked out, I'll be really pissed. Yeah. So,
but it would be such a Milan thing to do.
Yeah, it would be very typical, wouldn't it? But yeah, I mean, it depends who we get. If we get like Arsenal in the next round, then we should really beat them 17-0 over 2 legs. I don't care. I want to see them like crying. I want to see them greeting and carried off the pitch in stretchers.
What's up with you hating
crying so much?
First Fonseca, now Arsenal. To be fair, Arsenal is annoying. I think we've come against them twice in the Europa League. The first time they went through with a non-existent penalty. So, I would like to see some sort of revenge on that. Yeah.
Like, I wanted to say...
it was only once, but yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I want Europa as well, why? That's the only trophy we did not win yet, Milan. So,
Yeah, like but it's a fake UCL. I don't want it.
It's not. It's better than UCL, bro.
To be fair, that was a joke. I mean, if it comes, then it comes. I'm not going to complain. I think this season, the Europa League looks a bit more interesting than the UCL. And obviously, I'm not going to say no to a trophy. But I don't know. I would like us to win it, but I would prefer, as I said, I would prefer top 4 over that. But yeah.
I was just going to say, I think in the position we're in and where we've been these last few years, I don't think we should turn our nose up at the at Europa League trophy. Like, I think that's like, I think the Europa League is like considered as like a banter competition, and like I think the best way to get out of the banter era would be to win the Europa League and just like say be gone with the days of the past. We're back, sort of thing. That'd be a good way to sort of end it. But I think overall, the fact that we're going to be in like late March and we're still in Europe, we're second in the league. It's all good, and it's way more than any of us could have hoped for at the beginning of the season. Chance to get through to a European quarterfinal for the first time in however many years. It's all positive, really.
Should we quickly talk about the next game, the second leg, and then wrap it up? I think I've already mentioned what I would like to see in the second game. So what's everyone's thoughts and predictions and what, on the game?
Yeah, I kind of hinted towards like what I kind of wanted to see in this second leg. If we try and defend against the team that like are good away and we're poor at home, we're going to get done. We'll lose. I think the best thing and the best way to go about this game is not to go all out like Atalanta football or Dortmund football from a few years ago, where we're playing 2 at the back with 2 wing backs and 4 strikers. But let's get that first goal. Let's put the pressure on Man U so they're chasing the game at the San Siro rather than the other way around, where we've gone 2-0 behind and we need 3, or even 1 goal behind and we need 2 to win it in normal time or whatever. So yeah, I think take the game to Man U, like a proper old Milan game in Europe, a big game at San Siro against Man United. Yeah, we'll just take the game to them and treat it like a big European night, and play as if there was fans there. Because like, imagine in real life if there was fans there, and like Milan have got a chance to go through to a European quarterfinal, and Milan just go full on Catenaccio. Like, it's the last thing that Milan fans would want. We want to be on the
Joe would probably have orgasm.
Yeah. But I think we need to be on the front foot, take the game to Man United, put our stamp on the game rather than let it be dictated by the away team, and be strong. And I think I'm going to be negative and positive at the same time. I think we'll draw 1-1 and then we'll do them on penalties.
The penalty shootout between United and Milan, just too much, I think. But after that visit, like Rio Ave penalty shootout, where it just went to like 500 penalties, and there was like 3 occasions we could have lost that game. I hope it doesn't come down to that. I think if we get the first goal, I think we're in business. I mean, we do have the advantage as it stands with the away goal, but we're not keeping a clean sheet, if I'm being honest. So Yeah, it'll be an interesting game. I don't want to make any predictions, but you know, hopefully with 2007 as opposed to 2010, Milan in the Champions League against Manchester United in the Europa League, if that makes sense.
I would like to predict, let's say 2-1 for us, and I hope we play the same lineup we did with the last leg, with the change of maybe like what do you call Ibrahimovic instead of Leao, and Revic, and Krunic starts. Like same formation except it's Ibra and Revic. That's it. I would like that.
I think for me, it's similar to Matt. It's going to be a 1-0, but I think we'll get the goal at extra times rather than penalties. Mainly because if we go to penalties, this will probably be my last podcast, as I'll probably just be hospitalized for a week again. So yeah.
Yeah. So good podcast again, lads. Yeah, thanks for being here. And like Naeem, who's gone grocery shopping, but yeah,
priorities, got his priorities wrong.
Yeah, good review of the Man U game, which was a nice result, putting us in a good position to get to a European quarterfinal for the first time in I can't even remember. And then the slightly worse result, which is kind of put our top four hopes for the first time in a while in real jeopardy. But yeah, thank you, Farinho, for the question, and thank you everyone for watching. I think we'll be back after the Fiorentina game probably to review Man U again, the second leg, and the Fiorentina game. So thank you everyone for watching. Like and subscribe, and Forza Milan.